Hey crew, this is Pamela Parrish getting on here this morning to talk to you about something that I don't want to talk about, but I feel it needs to be talked about. Uh, as if we're not in enough of a tragedy as it is with this COVID thing going on. Something just popped up on my feed about a second ago, and I thought I'd do this before I went in to change clothes and get my day started. Um, a news article come over my feed where somebody was at Wabasha Hospital up in Wisconsin. Um, they don't know whether the guy was going to the hospital to be treated for this COVID or not, but it was at a Pro Health hospital up in Wisconsin. Um, but they say that police in Wabasha, Wisconsin, shot and killed a man armed with a handgun in the parking lot of Pro Health Waukesha Memorial Hospital near the emergency room, where they say it appeared he had initially gone for, quote, treatment, unquote. They say he pointed the weapon at officers. After shooting the man, officers brought him into the emergency room, but it was too late and he died at the scene. They say on the article here, I think this comes off of Heavy.com, by the way. The police said they opened fire on a guy at a Pro Health hospital up in Wisconsin, where after they shot him, they brought him into the emergency room. But it was already too late and he died at the scene. The police shooting unfolded in the early morning hours of April 15th, which is, I think, today. Let me check my date here. Yep. The police shooting unfolded early this morning on April 15th of 2020. Police did not say what type of treatment the man was seeking. Heavy has asked the police public information officer whether the man was trying to go to the ER for COVID-19 treatment or something else, and the story will be updated if a response is received. Waukesha, Wisconsin is a suburban city located a few miles from Milwaukee. Police said they initially responded on Wednesday, April 15th at approximately 1:30 this morning to Waukesha Memorial Hospital at 725 American Avenue for a report of a man with a gun in the parking lot. And they always bring up bullet points. And there are some Twitters to this. You guys could look at those, but I'm not going to read them this morning. Or I will read a couple of them if there are. Here is what we need to know. Police say the suspect pointed a gun at officers near the entrance to the ER. And Angela Doria posted on her Twitter, breaking, fatal officer involved shooting at Waukesha Memorial Hospital. Police were called to the reports of a man with a gun in the parking lot who pointed at officers. The Waukesha Police press release describes a tense confrontation with the outside the emergency room between the responding officers and the unidentified man. Quote, officers located a suspect armed with a handgun near the entrance to the emergency room. Hospital security began to initiate the lockdown protocols as officers made contact. The release said. It continued. Officers attempted to de-escalate the situation by engaging in dialogue with the suspect. The initial information the officers had was that the suspect was at the emergency room for treatment. Additional law enforcement agencies responded to help. The officers initialized crisis intervention techniques and reportedly asked the suspect to drop the gun, but he continued to ignore their request to do so. During this dialogue, the suspect's behavior changed and suddenly pointed the gun at officers. Based on this imminent threat, officers were forced to discharge their firearms on the suspect. Officers immediately provided medical attention to the suspect by bringing him into the emergency room. Police say the firearm was recovered on scene. The involved officers' experience ranges from 3 to 12 years on the department. No officers or other personnel were harmed during this incident. The release added, police have not released the officer's name either. The release continued. The suspect is dead. We are not looking for any other persons of interest. The Milwaukee area investigative team with the city of Wauwatosa Police Department, its lead agency, is conducting the investigation in order to maintain the integrity of the investigation and respect the judicial process. Will not be responding to any questions at this time. More details will be released as the investigation moves forward. Additional information shows that the officers acted within state statutes and department policies and fulfilled the mission of the Waukesha Police Department, a pledge to serve with integrity, honor, and courage. You can learn more about the Waukesha Police Department here, which there is a link you can go to. You can learn more about ProHealth Waukesha Memorial Hospital at another link. It is a major hospital located in the city of Waukesha. Again, some guy with a handgun walked up and started pointing his gun at officers. Now, this happened in the early hours of this morning. My thoughts go out to the police officers that were involved and the people that were in the ER trying to do their jobs in this COVID-19 situation. I can't imagine what must be going through people's minds this morning as they are trying to do a job, helping people with COVID and other injuries. It just makes you wonder, those that have handguns, that they have the stability to even own a weapon. And I know this COVID thing is hard on all of us, but what that guy did got him a pine box. And I'm hoping that he did not have COVID, but we don't know. It's a evolving situation of a guy that walked up to a hospital, and they saw that he had a weapon. They tried to talk him down, and he didn't. Pointed a gun at officers, and they felt that he was a threat, so they opened fire on him. They brought him into the hospital for treatment, and he didn't make it. Pretty sad, isn't it? We are in a violent time in our country, ladies and gents. Don't ever take a day for granted. It is not promised. And for those of you that are worried about what's going on in the political field, I'm worried too. I've been having problems sleeping. It's been so bad. I've heard that the Trumpster has cut off funding to the CDC, which isn't helping our matters any. People are really getting tired of Trump and his big line of bullshit that he's been trying to sell. And look what's happened during this COVID situation. We've had people spit on people and say that they have COVID, and it's terrible. And what I just said about people spitting on other people and screaming they have COVID, that happened in my city of Columbus, Ohio. Look up COTA, COTA, and type in COTA, COTA, man spits on driver and screams he has COVID-19, or coronavirus, as they say in the full term. And it's sad. It really is. While we are doing our part to flatten the curve, as they've been saying in the news, there are a few disparaging nutballs that want to induce fear and panic on everyday society, not just here in the United States, but places overseas. And I want to talk about something where a man got the smackdown of a lifetime. As I can't think of where this was at, but I think the guy spoke another language. I couldn't understand what he said, but he was saying something, and next thing you know, a person working in the store had slapped him so hard he went down to the ground. And the headline read, "Man spits on oranges," and store owner or store personnel gave him a smackdown to smack the COVID-19 out of him. And it's really sad that people that are trying to flatten this curve are being harmed by disparaging people like that. And the shooting at the hospital up in Waukesha, Wisconsin, really confirms it. There are a lot of nut jobs that'll do anything to test the boundaries of what's going on at our hospitals. Some people say that the guy was going there for treatment, but it doesn't give that dude the right to point a weapon at an officer. And if they feel like if the officers' lives, if the officers that are working there feel that their lives are being threatened, they're going to do what they have to do to keep them safe and the people that work in the hospital safe. And as they say, it happened early this morning at the hospital. It was a pro-health hospital. And there were reports of a man with a gun in the parking lot. And they tried to talk him down, and next thing you know, that creep was pointing a gun at officers. And they did what they had to do. And they were brave in the attempt to try and get the guy down from whatever he was going through. I don't know if it was the COVID situation, but it's just sad on all counts. But again, we are in a time that we cannot take things for granted. We are in total lockdown, which we should have been since January. I would have been glad to change my appointment. If they had done that back in winter time when we were still pretty much shut in for whatever we needed. This whole thing is just sad. I've been hearing a lot of weird things on the internet over the last couple of days, and I don't want to have to talk about Trump's motherfucking ass, but I figured while I was on here, he wants to stop funding to the CDC or whoever else doesn't agree with his policies. He wants to open up this country and claim that the country will bounce back. But you know what? A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people are fighting mental fatigue, and it's not funny. This whole thing is just not funny. People are fighting mental stress and physical stress, and a couple people have committed suicide over COVID. I was reading an article where a woman overseas, it's on my channel further back in my video library should you want to take a look. A woman from overseas was working in the ER unit of COVID patients who found out that she had COVID-19, and she went around about it, and she was telling her colleagues, "I may have infected some of you guys." And she was so despondent over that the woman killed herself. And then, that broke my heart because people may call her a coward, but if you feel like you've infected other people, some people handle things differently. And I agree she didn't handle it right, but it's just sad. It really is. And then to hear about this kook at the hospital that pointed a weapon at officers. But hopefully they'll hear more about that story in the coming days. But I don't know. Things have been moving so fast lately. It's kind of hard to keep up. And as far as Trump is concerned, I don't want to listen to him anymore. And you're saying, what? You're talking news? Well, his shit ain't news. It's a political ping pong ball that he's doing with these stupid media meetups. I don't think very many stations on TV were showing him, but people like the David Pakman Show are still following him for some sick, twisted reason. But I'm trying to keep my health in check. I've been going through a lot of pain here the last week, and I'm not in the mood for bullshit commentaries. Oh, Trump's doing a great job. No, he isn't. And because my state is flattening the curve, let me check the death tolls for Ohio as of today. Let me see here. Let's close down some of my mail windows. Okay. Okay, Google, what's the current death toll from COVID-19 in Ohio? Let's see. COVID. Let's see. And let's see. In many counties, let's read some of them off, shall we? In Cuyahoga County, they have 1,239 confirmed cases. 33 have died so far there. In my county, of Franklin County, 1,053 people and 18 died here in my county. Hamilton County has 576 and 24 deaths. Lucas County has 340 confirmed and 25. Montgomery County has 469 and 35 deaths. Summit County has 273 and 15. And Montgomery County has 205 and 8 deaths. But the total deaths in the U.S. are 26,061 people. Not very good odds. Not where we need to be. But Ohio has confirmed cases of 6,518, and as of the overview, 248 deaths. But I heard it was over 300 here yesterday or so. So, like I said, this situation is always evolving. It's hard for me to even keep up with. And I'm not a professional news journalist by any means. But I'll be sure to share all the latest stats. I got the pages up here. But if you're really worried about whether Trump's going to open up this country, you should be. This is our lives we are talking about here, Aside from the nut job that tried to kill a couple of cops by pointing a gun at 2 policemen at a hospital, we have that problem, and some people committing suicide because of this. And we got a president that wants to open up this country. Probably not for our interest, but probably for his businesses only. So, and if he's scared, he should be, because this holding off on keeping people quarantined started in April, and we are not fully 2 months in. Let's see, today is the 15th. I would have been in the hospital, I would have been in my house since the day I came home from the hospital on the 23rd, over 2 months. And it's been an emotional fight for me, because I'm Little Miss, wanna have fun, get out and go to a mall and go to a movie, go to Build-A-Bear, go and look at the latest vinyls that are back out at the local record shop. So, Yeah, I miss that. But I know our lives are on the line here, and I'm not willing to put my life in jeopardy because some idiot wanted to reopen the country. And Mayor Cuomo says, even if he asks to open the country, I'm not going to do it because we are dealing with our lives here. We are worried for our lives, you know? And the whole thing is just a giant clusterfuck of who should we follow? Should we follow the president or should we follow our governors? If you want to know my answer, I say follow the governors. Because when Trump wasn't stepping up to order the country on lockdown, our governors have stepped up and said we need to stay home, we need to flatten the curve, we're doing everything we can to squash this thing where it lives. And people are scared, people are worried, and I know a lot of elderly are isolated from their families. A lot of elderly have died in nursing homes. And I've had that conversation with my sister. I said, aren't you glad I never moved into a nursing home? And she's like, yeah, isn't that weird? Looks like nursing homes are a hotbed for things like that. And I said, exactly. And I said, now you know why I never wanted to move into a nursing home. I said, since the day I came home from the doctors, I've been holed up in my house. But I do go out to try to take the trash out because my brother is away on what I call a reconnaissance mission to help a friend so they could have some cushion money in case his unemployment didn't happen. Because sadly, ladies and gents, Macy's Furniture, where he worked, went belly up. I think he got the call last Monday stating that his job was done. There was no absorbing him into the company. No going to Tuttle Mall to work. And I felt so bad for my brother because now he knows. He damn well knows now that he's going to learn what it's like to be unemployed and not wanted in the younger contingent, which is taking our jobs. No offense to the millennials that are working today, but I pray that you younger generationers that have jobs now or possible jobs, when you hit your 40s or your 50s, you might be one of the ones that is forced out of your job. And that's what happened to my brother because he worked in furniture for a lot of years since 1985. I spoke about that in my other video. And he loved his job. He loved being busy. He loved hopping and bopping, doing the job. When one person didn't show up, who would they call? If two people didn't show up, who would they call? If he was the only one working over there, who would the guy be? My brother. That's right. Hardest working guy I know. Not only was he doing the job of Macy's, but he would come in, make sure that I would eat, and make sure I have everything I needed. And when he told me, he says, Pam, I gotta go away for a few weeks. I'll call you almost every night, so you don't worry. I know how scared you were when I told you about going out for this job. And when you told me to take it, I knew you were right. He's like, I knew you were right in me taking this job. It's a little bit of money. It'll cushion us until we can figure out what to do. And the day he left, the day he was leaving, I didn't hug him goodbye because I knew I would start crying when he left. But the night before he left, I gave him the mother of a hug that no sister should have to give because you never know when that could be the last time you see your loved one. And I grabbed him in a bear hug, and I didn't want to let him go. And he says, "Don't cry. I've done enough crying for all of us." And somehow or another, I buttoned it up until after he left. He went home to spend the last evening in his own bed. And after he left, I let the tears flow. I couldn't hold it in anymore. But for my brother's sake, I held it in just long enough to keep him from worrying about me. And we talk to each other almost every day. And he says, "I'm surprised you didn't call me last night." This was the other day. And I said, "Well, John, I was pretty much in pain from my elbow pain here. And as you can see, it's a little bruised." Holy shit, I did bruise it. And you want to know how I got that bruise, right? Look at this. That's a bruise and a little bit of the psoriasis plaque where it began in the beginning of my adventure with psoriasis. Last night, I went out to get a cold soda out of my refrigerator. And they have those plastic bottles and the little plastic, what used to be can holder type plastic things. And I pulled on the bottle. I went like this and pulled back, and I hit my walker handle. And it hurt like hell. I said, "Well, that'll hurt." And I gotta pee. So, yeah, I kind of injured myself yesterday, and I'm dealing with a lot. So, I think nature's calling me to go to the bathroom, so I'll button this up, upload it, and run to the bathroom. And hopefully I won't wet my pants in the interim. So, yeah. It's been that kind of morning for all of us, I think. Stress upon stress upon stress. But to summarize this video, I got on this morning to find out that somebody went up to Waukesha Hospital and tried to point a gun at police after so many attempts to try and talk him down. When that creep pointed a gun, the police opened fire on the suspect, getting him down. They took him right inside the hospital, but they didn't save him. So who knows what he was doing there at the hospital. Initially, the policeman responded to a guy in the parking lot with a handheld weapon. So, yeah. What they call a minigun. So, who knows what the hell he was doing. But to close this video out, stay safe, take care of each other, and hopefully by tonight I can get back on and do another video. I gotta get to the bathroom and I gotta change my clothes. I gotta get cleaned up and maybe I'll start feeling better then. But I gotta get off, nurse my bruised elbow, and hopefully the healing oils will help lessen the pain in my elbow. So, yeah. Take care of each other and I'll get back on later. Bye!